Hey guys, time to do what we want to do the most, and that's make you some money. With the first stock suggestion, it's JA Solar. Now, today the company got a real nice pop in sympathy with Canadian Solar, which posted an amazing earnings. It was like the earnings report of a lifetime. But I got to tell you something. The thing is, all of these companies have been posting amazing numbers for a long time. The street just kind of hates the sector and hates these names. I think that's going to start changing because even as these subsidies start to fade, particularly in America and Europe, there's enough commercial and residential demand around the world to keep the top solar names growing at a very, very rapid clip. Now, poor execution has haunted JA Solar, but management, they've beaten the street in the last two earnings releases. And get this, they beat them one time by 1,500% and last time out by 433%. So consequently, fiscal year 15 numbers now, the street's looking for $1.61. 3 months ago, it was $1.40. This is what I like. The company has transformed itself. It was a cell maker to modules. Now that's 75% of the business. By the way, a bunch of cells make a module and a bunch of modules make an array, just in case you're ever in jeopardy. Now, in the most recent quarter, gross margins soared. You know, I love margins. 16.7%. They were 15.5% at the end of last year, 6% just a year earlier. Global demand growing rapidly still. It's 46 gigawatts this year. 49% of that's going to come from Japan and China. Well, guess what JA Solar's two top markets are? Japan and China. Now, I think this is one of the most oversold stocks in the market. I'm looking for it to go at least at $13, even a lot higher. Jim Frischling's with us, president of NewOak Capital. Rejoining the company. So what do you think about this particular stock idea?
You know, I'm glad you mentioned how the street tends to treat this sector. And I'm not going to say I'm a hater, but this is something that I've tended to shy away from in part because of the subsidies. But I will say that given what China's doing right now and given how they're going to push, again, try to increase demand and also kind of promote public installations of solar, I think the tailwinds right now for this sector and particularly for this company. You know, I usually like the industry leader, but the industry leader is Yingling, and they're right now focused on market share, not profitability. Yeah. JA is focused on profitability, and they're doing better. So I'm with you.
I'm kind of with you on that too. And also, when the World Cup, Yingling had ads everywhere, right? And I started saying, let me take a look at this again. But every time I did, I couldn't go with it. But JA Solar, to me, is just oversold, undervalued.
It is, and some of the solar stocks have held up pretty well. It's a sector we look at. You have the winners and your losers. It's tough to pick the individual stock. I like it here because it has a ton of support at 850. So if you're buying here, you're buying close to support. And you talk about they're going to make what, $1.60 next year. They lost $1.50 last year, so they are profitable now, which I like that. And I love the solar stocks. I think they're high risk but very high reward next couple of years.
And here's the thing, Heatha. Last quarter, Japan was over 50% of the business. If Japan does go through with the idea that they're not going to use nuclear power, right? Coal is pretty hard to get over there. They have no natural resources to speak of. They're going to really need a lot of solar. That's huge for these guys over the next couple of years.
Right, but what if it doesn't? And the beta on the stock is very high. That's what makes me nervous a little. And, you know, we have this incredible growth. Right. I mean, that growth is going to shrink. I feel like that's also what makes investors a little nervous. I mean, you can't sustain that type of growth for the long term. Put
Heatha in the hater category. By the way, guys, beta means that it's much more volatile than a normal market. Hey, I got another great stock suggestion coming for you later, and Jim's going to be back with us. But first, influence buying in a height of hypocrisy. A quiet change in President Obama's executive orders brings us back to lobbyists all over the place influencing government. But guess what? They never went away. And this stuff affects your wallet. We're going to explain how. Don't be fooled. We're here to make you money. Hey guys, time to make you some money with the second stock idea. It's a company called Conn's. Now, Conn's is a Texas-based retailer. I got to tell you something. This was an absolutely super-duper hot stock. It was unstoppable until it collapsed. Okay, they missed the January quarter. The stock got hammered. But I got to tell you something. And as a result, it's a higher than average risk idea, but it's very attractive, and I'll tell you why. Last time they reported, they did beat. Same-store sales were up 15.6%, but when we dig into the numbers, right, we always talk about going under the hood. Furniture and mattress same-store sales are up 65%. That's a trend I think is going to continue. Home appliances are up almost 21%. These are same-store sales. Home office almost 23%. What dragged them down, consumer electronics was only up 3%. The company's expanding. They recently opened 2 new stores in Denver. Now, the fear is that they have low-income customers and they buy a lot of this stuff on credit. I will tell you, provisions for bad debt is 8.2% of all outstanding. That's up from 6.5% 2 years ago. But their 60-plus day delinquency has come down. It's about 8% now. In April, It was 8.8% in January. Now, this stock was at 80 bucks. I told you it was hot just in the last 52 weeks. I'm not looking for that kind of a recovery, but I think at the very least it rebounds to $50, probably even higher. Now, because I don't do this often, because of the risk, if you do like this and you do pull the trigger, I'm suggesting a stop loss at $37. All right, Jim is back with us. Jim, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, this is going to be a defining moment for us because I'm not with you on this one, but I appreciate you're saying this is a high-risk call. The fact is David Einhorn's in your camp, so legendary investors owns 9% of this thing.
Oh, okay.
And he's saying that to discard the delinquency issue. I'm not going to discard that issue. I like the revenue growth. I do like the sector, but I am concerned the competition is fierce, and the short interest in this thing has grown dramatically. So I think that it might be an issue of, is it a bottom or is it a ledge? I think this is a ledge, and this thing has got a lot of risk to it. So the timing to me seems a little off.
Yeah, I'm torn on this one as well. 30% of the float is short, so a lot of shorts are betting against it. Einhorn obviously ended betting for it. If it breaks below 40 to me, I think the shorts are going to win this one. But then I look at the fundamentals, and man, are they impressive. You know, made $1.63 last year, making almost $4.50 in 3 years.
It's amazing.
So if they can come in line, Charles, and they hit their targets, this is a $60, $70 stock in a couple years. So if they hit it, I don't know if they hit it, though. I'm concerned.
All right, Miss Retail Expert, what do you think?
I'm part of the panel here. I really agree with these guys. The shorts, the fact that the stock's being shorted so much scares me a little. Also, the delinquencies scares me as well. And while they have this impressive revenue growth, I don't think they're going to be able to gain market share with their competitors.
They're taking market share now. These guys are no joke. They are a juggernaut
in the way that we want them
and maybe
to.
it helps that you can go in and buy a bunch of stuff without putting money down.
It's all on a
but it's a pretty attractive offer.
Retail sales, that's for sure.
But you're looking low end here, Charles. You're looking at that low end consumer. If that low end consumer hangs around, the economy stays around 2% growth, you're okay. If the economy starts to teeter, that's when it's
one of the reasons I went with this, because of the theme of the show has been we have the bifurcation in this country, right? The very, very wealthy. And I think people who live in places like New York City and San Francisco, we don't understand the rest of the country. People have to shop at places like Conn's. And so I think it can work, but I will say it is higher than average risk. But if they squeeze these shorts, this is going to be a grand slam. Now time, guys, to answer your questions about making money moves, curious about a stock industry. You can always ask me. Ask Payne, hashtag Ask Payne, CV Payne on Twitter. Kate, you know, is our social media guru, so what question have you lined up for me tonight?
Well, I know you love when they ask during the show. So this one came from Michael Sad6 just now. At CV Payne, do you think Apple is a buy considering all of the new product launches coming up?
I do think Apple is a buy. I'm in Apple. Our subscribers are in Apple, and Apple's reclaimed some of that charm. You know, I got to tell you something. Part of the problem, I think, for Apple is I call it the Larry Holmes effect. With Tim Cook coming in after such a legend, it's like Larry Holmes coming in after Muhammad Ali. He'll never get the credit that he probably deserves, and I think that's actually impacted the stock. But speaking of breakouts, guys, I think when this thing gets over $100, it's going to regain some of that legendary status, and it could be off to the races. What do you think?
This going through my charts this weekend, I've always flashed the stocks that are buys. This flashed, and I own it for my subscribers, own it for my clients, own it for myself. Screaming buy right here because it will break above 100 and it's going to attract even more buyers.
You know, Seacrest is coming out with his iTypo and that device to help bring BlackBerry users like me to the iPhone. I know that's not going to be the big push that it needs, but I will tell you, BlackBerry users are watching that carefully because if they can get a keyboard that clips onto an iPhone, they've got my business.
Well, also with the iPhones, too, that pricing power is there. I mean, they can increase that price on that phone and people still flock to it. I just feel like there's demand there.
iPhone 6 coming out in September,
Exactly.
new iPad on its way out.
You guys think, though, I know the new iPad news, there were some rumors about that, and that gave the stock a little bit of a lift. Sometimes you could be a victim of your own success, too. If they don't live up to the hype, and no one's talking about the iTV anymore. I don't even hear about
Apple
that anymore.
TV, oh, my parents own that. Listen, they bought it.
Wasn't it a new TV product, though, that everyone's so pumped
up? It syncs your devices to the TV, so you can watch Netflix streaming on the TV. They literally bought it, never use it
anymore.
And
what about the watch?
I think... Well, I don't know about
what
the watch,
about the
but
watch?
what I think they are pros at is aborting their own products. They cannibalize on themselves, and they keep you, and you're stuck. And everyone is sitting around waiting for the 6 right now, and the thin one's going to come out first. Oh, but then you have to wait for the bigger one that looks like the Galaxy. I mean, they keep you... Say what you want about Tim Cook. I think he's doing a fine job of keeping you in and you stay and
you see those lines outside the Apple Store.
Now there is a question, and you brought it up, about tablets. The iPads. If the phones get so much larger, and you've got a PC, you've got a laptop. I mean, maybe tablets start to lose a little bit of that charm. I think that's what people might be concerned
I don't think so, because so many people watch television on their iPads, and your phone, like it or not, no matter how big it gets, it's still too small to sit there and watch movies and TV on.
I don't know if that's true. My kids do that all the time. I think, but again, that's where Apple comes in. So what? You don't want to buy our desktops anymore? You don't want to buy our laptops anymore? Just keep buying our phones. Keep in the
And the PCs, the people that don't want to upgrade the PCs, they go to the tablets.
So we'll sum it all up. Everybody hates my cons play, and everybody loves Apple. Hey, guys, remember, if you have any kind of questions, tweet me. I'm at CV Payne on Twitter. Don't forget, on these particular questions, use the hashtag AskPayne or post it to the Facebook page, facebook.com/Charles Payne Box. Hey, our thanks to Jim Frischling. Thanks a lot, Jim.